It might be lagging. Okay, I guess. Okay, I guess. Doo-doo. Hold on, let's capture card this. Hold on, let's card this. I don't know why the capture card ain't working. I don't know why the capture card ain't working. I don't know how the capture card. Let's see if it works. I think it's actually the capture card. I think it's actually the capture card. Yeah, let me. Oh, there it went. Where's the remote for it, though? Did y'all hear that?
Do you know what the
I'm trying to find the. Here it is.
be even better than some of the other people? There's nothing I love more than a good old gaming sesh on my gaming computer with my homies. But what's happened with AI scooping up all of the S's?
Oh. Hold on, I have to go back and look.
And the memory and the GPU. There's nothing I love more than a good old gaming sesh on my gaming computer with my homies. But what's happened with AI scooping up all of the SSDs and the
Okay, guys. I'm going to play this and let my phone charge, so I'm gonna. It's not lagging, I don't think. Okay, it is. It's lagging down here. I'm gonna turn off my camera and y'all just watch this. I'm gonna let the camera charge a little bit. So. I'll put uh, this camera over here on. Never mind. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'll try to do this. My monitor metal. It is metal, but Okay, let me do this. I will get it. Why is it doing this anyway? Let's go over here. This camera over here. Not that. I need see. There's my fluffy kitty. What? What, baby? Willow. What? Anyways, I'm gonna turn this camera off over here. Willow. Do you still hear me? It's good enough. Baby, what are you doing? What are you doing? Willow? She's in my closet. I'm gonna plug this phone into the phone for another camera. But where's that thing? Can you hear me? Yeah, you can. Anyway, let me go to capsule. Get my capsule called Windows.
There's nothing I love more than a good old game.
It works. I'm gonna turn this on and probably go take a shower. I'll be back. I'll put a timer up on screen if I can find it. Definitely not gonna be an hour. There's the timer. I'll be back. Then let me go wash my hands. While that's going, I'm gonna play this video, and there will be another one. No ads because I got union. So. Anyways, love y'all, and I'll see you in 30 minutes.
There's nothing I love more than a good old gaming sesh on my gaming computer with my homies. But what's happened with AI scooping up all of the SSDs and the memory and the GPU allocations, the hobby is becoming obscenely expensive. And it's something I've been hearing enough that I started to question myself, my own beliefs. I mean, shit, the last PC I built probably cost more than a used car. Maybe they're not wrong. Maybe PC gaming isn't affordable anymore. So I spent the last 2 days scrounging around on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, all those good places to try to see if I could build a good gaming PC for that $500 budget. Maybe even better than some of the other PCs I've seen around this price point. And I'm talking like real $500. This total PC, all the parts I've got sitting in front of me here, should be an absolute monster for 1080p and perfectly capable at 1440p gaming. And if you're willing to be scrappy, maybe use a cardboard box as your case, even less than $500. What's wrong with using a cardboard case, Andrew? So let's build it. And it starts with the motherboard. Oh yeah. This is MSI's A520M A Pro. It's not a great motherboard. The features, not fantastic. The I/O, not fantastic. Build quality seems okay. I mean, it's basically just a PCB, but that's really all we need it to be. We just need something to plug components into. It's not gonna have much of an impact on your performance. And because it's only $65, I'll take it. If you're trying to save money, pick a reputable brand, find whatever is the best deal at this current time because it kind of fluctuates, but you might wanna look at going for something that's B450. You're gonna get slightly better features and overclocking support. So if you're inclined to, you can maybe eke out a little bit more performance from your CPU. And speaking of CPU, we have one. He's gonna use a bad cut of this. We have what is hopefully still a working one. This is AMD's Ryzen 5 5500. It's a 6-core processor with 4.2 gigahertz max boost, 3.6 gigahertz base clock speed. It's on the table now, and the main thing here is that you can pick these up so cheap used. And while it's by no means the fastest CPU in AMD's lineup, nowhere even close, especially for gaming, it should still game pretty good, and it was only $65 on the used market. And CPUs are one of those things that are totally fine, at least in my book, to buy used. they typically outlast the rest of the components by a long shot, and it's honestly pretty rare for a CPU to die unless you're doing some crazy stuff. Now we're just gonna line up the little triangle on the corner there. Whoop. They don't make it nearly as obvious as they used to. I swear, it used to be like silk screened big triangle, but there is a little dot. Either way, let it drop in nicely, give it a little wiggle, make sure it's in there, and boom, we have a CPU installed. That easy. The other thing, if you're buying a used Ryzen CPU like this, is you want to make sure that it comes with a CPU cooler, unless you're buying your own. But the stock AMD coolers like this Wraith one right here, ooh, they're pretty solid. You can get a bit more performance by upgrading the thermal paste if you got some fancy stuff kicking around, but these are totally usable. This is a part of the build I was a little bit hesitant on. I mean, the 5500 is a very performant CPU by a lot of metrics, especially in terms of like how much you're getting for how much they cost. But if you're buying new, the 5600 has double the L3 cache. It's also, at least on the used market, double the price. But we're on a budget, baby. We don't just get to throw around money like it doesn't exist, okay? We're gonna tighten all 4 of these in a little X pattern until they stop. And if you're wondering why I didn't go with Intel, it was just more expensive in terms of like what you can get versus the performance you get, at least right now. Your mileage may vary. Do some hunting. Just wait for a good deal, you know? And while you're waiting, you need to check out boot.dev, who sponsored this portion of today's video. They basically cracked the code, so to speak, on making programming fun and engaging to learn by basically turning it into a video game. I know, it sounds crazy, but just picture it. You're learning to do back-end web development with Python, SQL, and Go, and at the same time, you're earning XP, you're leveling up, you're completing quests. Heck, you're even doing boss fights, all while learning. They have courses for developers of all experience levels, even noobs, with curriculum that goes super in-depth while still being easy and engaging to follow. And they even teach you the tools of the trade, like this entire course on how to learn and master using Linux, command line, the file systems, permissions, all that good stuff. And since they give you all that course material on their website for free, you can start to learn how to build real web projects without any risk to your wallet. And if their interactive learning style works for you, like it's been working for me, you can use code JAKU to get 25% off an annual plan that gives you all those fantastic interactivity features for all of their courses down at the link in the description. It's freaking sweet. I highly recommend checking it out. We'll plug in our CPU fan up in CPU fan 1. And then in a rare show of grace to later Jake, we're gonna put the screws and the little stock brackets back in the motherboard box. Some CPU coolers need these, and if you don't keep them, you're gonna have a bad time later. Speaking of things that you can get a better deal on locally than on the internet, I managed to find this ADATA PCIe Gen 4 512 gig SSD for around $30 US locally. I think it's pulled from like an HP laptop or something like that. And if you are buying used storage, there are a few things you can do to try to help yourself be a little bit more on the safe side. Like checking the remaining health on the SSD. There's lots of free programs you can use to do that. And it's a really good metric to see how abused the SSD. They have a finite life. You can only write to them so many times. IO shield, that'll be useful later. For RAM, I picked up 16 gigs of Crucial Ballistics, 3200 megatransfers per second, CL16 DDR4. DDR4 like this hasn't been nearly as affected, definitely still more expensive than it used to be, but not quite as bad. I picked up these 2 sticks on eBay for 50 bucks. I also even saw a 32 gig kit for 60 bucks, so, you know, there are deals to be had. Speaking of cheap computer, ooh, do I have some cheap computer for you? This is, I think, the least expensive computer case I have ever purchased. Even though I bought this new, I wouldn't necessarily recommend you do the same. It's not a great case, but my God, it's $39.99 US, and it doesn't get cheaper than that. Unless, of course, you buy used, which is probably what you should do in this price category. Or just use a cardboard box. Who cares? Man, this isn't even glass. This is plastic. I haven't seen a plastic side panel in ages. If you're thinking you might upgrade in the future, by the way, just consider that this is an MATX case, not ATX, so full-size ATX motherboards won't fit. You know what? For how cheap this thing is, it does have fan filters. The front one fell off.
Yeah, that's not very typical. I'd like to make that point.
Oh, there's a fan filter on the bottom, too. Look at that. Ouchie. Those fan filters are incredibly sharp. Oh, it has feet. It's got features. If only the case also came with fans. Our power supply, the MSI MAGA 550BN, is non-modular, but at the crispy new price of $52.67 with a 5-year warranty, great reviews, and 80 plus bronze rating, I can't really complain. I would caution going any cheaper than this power supply, but check out what deals are going on around you. And to be honest, you can buy a power supply used. However, I've definitely heard some horror stories of people buying perfectly working used power supplies where the only reason they were being sold is because they were having problems. So stay safe out there, y'all. Yeah, I am going to stick the power supply in fan up because a lot of my house has carpet in it and I don't want to have to think about it. Now our case has 2 functional fans. It's going to get serious, just you wait. You don't want to put your motherboard in without putting in the IO shield. I've made that mistake so many times. And now our motherboard can go into the case. I really hope all of our eBay components work. If I were smart like you, I might have tested our main components on the motherboard box outside of the case before I put it in there. But like, clearly I'm not as smart as you. Good on you, you're a smart cookie. And also, if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. Oh, it's GPU time. How do I get these out though? Take the screwdriver in, you do a little bendy bend. Try not to cut your fingers. And last but not least, the thing I am most proud of in this computer. This is a Power Color Red Devil 6750 XT. We snagged this absolute monster of a GPU on Marketplace for the equivalent of 200 USD. It's a massive chunk of the overall budget, but my God, you can get so much more bang for your buck buying a used GPU. Oh my God, does it fit in the case? Oh, just barely. The 6750 XT has 12 gigs of RAM. I would highly recommend trying to find a card that has at least 12 gigs in this day and age, but 8 gigs will suffice if you have to. Oh my God, the power button. Because of how small this case is, putting the power supply fan upwards was probably a mistake. That's a problem for later, Jake. Cable management time. I made a rookie mistake. I didn't plug in our front panel connectors before I put the GPU in, which means putting them in is going to suck now. Feels so gross. CPU power connector, easy. And then our GPU. Where does the audio one go? Oh my God, it's all the way in that corner. If I took the last PCIe bracket out. This is one of those things where you end up spending more time trying to screw around doing it the wrong way than you would have just taking the GPU out. Ooh, we don't need a speaker. What's the last one? HDD LED. I saw a forum thread that one time. It was like, do I still need to plug in the HDD LED if I have an SSD? You know what? That's actually a fair question. Huzzah! Super secure. We got all these lovely tie down points here. Let's use them. Pro tip, cable manage your computer after you test it, because what if it doesn't work? Why would it do that? I really don't like how much this GPU is sagging. Haha! GPU support, Brett. It's kind of bending. It's way more straighter. Power! Look at that RAM. Oh, it's RGB. I didn't even realize. Wow. This motherboard does have debug LEDs, so if it's not booting, you want to take a look over there and see what it says. Yes! Woo! But look at that, we're in the operating system. But before we do anything in our operating system, to get our BIOS update, head to the motherboard's product page. Under BIOS, we should see the latest BIOS versions. We are on, I think that's August 2024. Like a few new versions since then. This Asus QD OLED monitor, 500 hertz. It costs more than that computer. Make sure you don't unplug the power or shut it off while it's updating. The BIOS update is complete. We still have one more thing to do, and that's enabling XMP or DOCP. You can actually see it right here. XMP profile, 3200 megatransfers per second, 16, 18, 18, 36. Those numbers represent the speed that this memory kit was designed to be able to run at. If we don't enable XMP, it's gonna run at this speed right here. You see current DRAM frequency, 2666. So we're just giving up like 534 megatransfers per second if we don't enable XMP. So we'll turn that on, click the exit to save, and hopefully it's just gonna work. As the computer's rebooting, it might take a minute or two to train the memory, which is basically just making sure it is actually able to run at that speed. If you're building a system on AM5, the newer Ryzen platform, it can take like 10-15 minutes, but AM4 is pretty fast. It's already done. And now that we're in Windows, we can make sure it applied properly by just checking in Task Manager. We are indeed running speed 3200 megahertz. Nice. Look at all 6 of those cores, baby. Wow, wow, wee woo. Very nice. I like. We've got our 512 gig SSD. We've got Realtek PCIe gigabit Ethernet controller. And the only other thing you need to do once you're in Windows is install the requisite drivers. The main ones you really want to pay attention to are the AMD chipset drivers and your GPU drivers. And you can get both of those drivers from the AMD website. For chipsets, you can just type A520 chipset drivers, and they have the latest one up here. And then you can do the same thing for graphics, Radeon graphics driver. There you go. Easy peasy. And then, since Windows is such an absolute dumpster fire, I'm gonna go in here and just clean a couple things up, uninstall OneDrive, and then can we remove Copilot too? Yes, please. Get out of my life. All of this garbage, I don't want it. Teams, bye. Now, we game. Starting with Counter-Strike. Updating Steam. Oh, come on. People that play Counter-Strike, really play Counter-Strike, are not playing at high settings. So what I like to do is go off the low preset with 1080p, enable a touch of anti-aliasing so it doesn't look so jagged, and then just make sure Fidelity FX Super Resolution is disabled so that we're actually rendering at 1080p. We have our max FPS set at 1000, anti-lag on, VSync off. I don't think the side panels are gonna make a ton of difference, but I will stick them on. So, in Counter-Strike right now, Dust 2. Oh god, this dynamic crosshair is the worst thing in the universe. Oh, wait. Oh. Yeah, I got a frag, guys. With a little bit of anti-aliasing here, we're getting like somewhere around 180 to 200 FPS. Not like the craziest FPS I've ever seen in Counter-Strike, to be honest. But this is one of those games that's really, really dependent on CPU performance. Probably like with the 5500 instead of the 5600 given our budget. It's to be expected, but this is still like way more than playable. This is high refresh rate gaming territory. 200 FPS, you got a 144 hertz monitor with your $500 PC, you're cooking on that. And we haven't even overclocked it or anything. Why does it say the GPU is only being used 70% though? I don't know, Counter-Strike's one of those games that just like was built in the 1930s or whatever. So guys, if I don't get a frag in this game, oh god, I got a frag! Oh, he knew where I was. I didn't know where he was. Oh, I got two. Actually, my teammate helped. Ah, he knew. How does he know? Does he play Counter-Strike? Sorry, I should have ran the Counter-Strike benchmark. Regardless, we have an average FPS of 293.3 and
Okay, I'm going to in-stream unplug my computer, plug into this thing, and restart the stream. Because I'm moving this whole thing over there. So, I'll be back in like 3 minutes. So, I'll be back in like 3 minutes. So, I'll be back in like 3 minutes.